Hello, I'm Dr. Dean Bonlie from Magnetico. Today, in our magnetic moment, we want to talk about fibromyalgia. This is a disease that affects over 20 million Americans. Now, I'll give you an example of how this can be treated. A lady walked into my office one day and she says, Dr. Bonlie, I need a miracle. I hear you do miracles. I said, well, sometimes. I said, what's wrong? She says, I have chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. My body aches all over. I'm allergic to all but 7 foods. I'm allergic to all the chemicals in my house, so I've had to remove them. Because of this disease, I've lost my husband, I've lost my job, I'm on welfare, and I can only be up 3 or 4 hours a day. The rest of the time I have to be in bed. I said, well, how many doctors have you been to diagnose this? He says, I've been to 17 doctors here in this town. I said, well, what happened? Did they do you any good? No, the first 14 told me I was crazy. The last 3 tried to help me. They were alternative doctors, but I only got worse. I said, well, what did they do to help you? Well, the first one told me to get all my silver fillings out. The second one told me I needed more vitamins. And the last one told me I needed IV chelation. So I had IV chelation. So all my money was gone. I said, IV chelation? You mean the kind you put in the needle in your arm and you sit there for 2 hours? I said, yes. And I said, well, that's EDTA chelation. It doesn't do anything for mercury. What you need is get the mercury out of your brain because it's interfering with the function of the astrocyte cells in your brain, which makes the electricity for your body. In other words, we're talking about the vitality for your body. So we need to get that out of there, and then your body will start functioning again. He says, well, you're wasting your time. I have no money. I said, that's fine. Think you can get your job back? He said, sure, I can get my job back when I'm feeling better. I said, good, then we'll put a magnetic pad in your car and give you some DMSA. The DMSA is to bind the mercury when it comes out of your brain and into the bloodstream, so it's easy for your kidneys to get rid of it. So we loaded her up, and away she went. We didn't think much about it for some time, and then a month later, I got a check in the mail, and I called her up and I said, I thought you didn't have a job. How come you're paying me already? She says, well, I got my job back already. Oh, that's wonderful. She says, can I come in a couple more months when I run out of DMSA and get some more? I said, sure. So she came in. This is 3 months after she first saw me and got some more DMSA. And I said, how's things going? She says, life is grand. I got a new boyfriend. He's better than the last one. I got my job back. It's going really great, and here's the rest of the money. Now that gives you a really good example of a turnaround of chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. What was going on here? Well, what was going on, all we did was charge up the astrocyte cells in the brain so that they had a high enough charge on the cell wall so that it actually forced out the mercury out of those cells into the bloodstream, and then the cells could start operating again and putting out a good, strong vitality signal to the rest of the body. Now, this vitality signal we're talking about, some people call it chi, but it's, over here we call it vitality, and really what it's doing is sending out a pulsed electromagnetic field to the body, which resonates the mitochondria in the different cells of the body. So when they go into resonance, the mitochondria makes a whole lot more ATP. ATP is the high energy compound which runs the sodium-potassium pump, which is the little chemical mechanism for charging up the cell wall. Well, why is that important? Well, you have to have enough charge on that cell wall to bring oxygen in and push waste products out. Mercury is a waste product that you don't want in the cell, and it takes a whole lot more voltage to get that out than it does just normal waste products like organic waste products. So people start building up the mercury in the cells of their body. They also start building it up in their brain, and so it starts feeding on itself to the point where you're just about ready to shut down. We come along and clean out the cells of the body as well as the brain, and everything starts working good again, and health is returned. Now, we did do a study early on when we just had what we call the classic pad, which is only a 5 Gauss magnetic pad going through the body. And this is a pad that goes under your mattress, and this is puts out a magnetic field that pulls more of the Earth's magnetic field down through your body while you sleep. And when that happens, you actually speed up the orbital velocity on the valence electrons of the atom, so they're going faster, cutting more lines of flux, and consequently they're charging up. It's like a generator. And so when your valence electrons get charged up, you actually then enhance the chemical reactions in the body because they're far more chemically active. Now, when we've got all the chemistry now working more like it should, we have a much better chance of recovery. Now, this study we did with the University of Virginia actually was for 107 people over a 6-month period of time. And that during that period of time, people got 32.4% less pain than they did before they started the study. Now, that's with the weakest magnetic pad. They recommended we make them stronger, so we make them now twice as strong and 4 times as strong, and we now are able to eliminate the pain and the fatigue caused by fibromyalgia. We did another little study in Canada with people with just chronic fatigue, and 3 out of the 5 were able to go back to work, and all of them had a substantial improvement in function. So there is a great answer just by laying on a magnetic pad, which is enhancing the chemistry of the body. You don't have to keep taking pills. The only pill you want to take is either chlorella or DMSA, and the purpose of that is to quickly eliminate the mercury once it gets into the bloodstream so that it doesn't go to some other part of the body.